welcome to the second episode of Eternal Paradigm. My name is Urmi and I'm your host. I want to share with you where I have come from, why getting to this point for me has been a journey. We all have our stories to tell, but do they really have to be the making of us or breaking of us? And I think in most cases they're the making of us. Some of us may choose to allow ourselves to be broken by these, but I think a majority of us are incredibly strong-willed, and able to really rise from that. So the questions I'm really exploring here through my journey is, why do we look to serve an outward purpose when our soul really needs attention? Our soul needs our attention. Do we ever really know ourselves? I use the term soul to mean the essence of me or you. So I searched an online dictionary definition of soul just to see what it came up with. And it says a soul is the spiritual or immaterial part of a human being or animal regarded as immortal. So, yeah, I subscribe to this meaning, and I like to refer to my soul as the truth or the formless power within me that is boundless. But that applies to all of us. Although I have to admit, I didn't feel this until very recently. Or I guess on some level I knew this, but the noise on the outside was allowed to take over. So as I previously mentioned, mental health is a very significant topic, not just for me, but for all of us. I am now in a place where I can share the battle of my mind and my soul. So as I continue, please can I remind you to be kind and show compassion to me, to others around you, and most importantly, to yourself. Especially if after listening to my experience, you find yourself connecting with any of these events or feelings. On the face of it, no one, even those closest to me or in my circle, knew about my inner turmoil, just like I may only be aware of theirs on a surface level. Only a handful of those who are close to me became aware, I guess, of knowing of how I came so close to allowing this form to no longer be. So here goes. At my lowest, when depression was my preferred skin and I guess my mind had turned on me, I used to wake up every day still grappling to seek purpose in everything. I guess that was a small sign of hope. People have described depression as a dark, weighty cloud that follows you around or is always there. And even though I felt this way for me, I had become this dense mass, like an absolute dense mass of I don't know what. I like to call it a dense mess, but I'm not making light of it, but that's now me looking back. Ultimately, I had no sense of worth. Therefore, I had to seek purpose elsewhere. How could my purpose truly be within me when I had been conditioned to seek purpose elsewhere, on the outside? I used to think that connecting to that one person will make me worthwhile. Other people on the outside could justify my worth. That manager at work, or getting that promotion, or by finding someone to complete me because I was so incomplete. Pushing to get that extra qualification, for example, that stamp of approval would follow soon after. If I could just take that next step and then it would all be fine. But it wasn't like that, and it wasn't all fine. Well, it is now, but back then it wasn't. So deep within me, I guess, I've always looked for meaning in everything, but I had lost or significantly numbed the ability to feel, like many of us do. We numb our ability to feel, or we become totally consumed in our ability to feel. But coming back to my mind would turn everything into a million deep and deathly voices that would echo in my ears, and then my eyes would find physical manifestations of these in the outside world. They would be singing my demise back to me, and the lack of me was so strong. Who was I? I am so worthless. It didn't matter to me. I didn't matter to me. So why should I matter to anyone else? There was no urgency to live, no true feeling for life. As a mother, I felt that I did not need to carry on. What was I really bringing to the table? And was it really even enough? My children deserved better, and so did my husband. They needed more than me. I was just not enough. I would hear voices, all in my head, I must add, telling me that I had failed here too, because I was, I guess, not willing to live my life's purpose through my children or for the sake of my family. I had become an expert at ensuring I was nothing more than the stories I told myself, and that I was convinced this is what others could see of me, and this is what they thought of me. It was all in my head. Those thoughts, I guess, still creep in, but they're not so loud anymore. Back then, I would help others so willingly because I felt so truly helpless to help myself. If I could just help that one person who wasn't me, that would be fine, because then my worth would be justified. I would try to reach out and do good, but none of this was helping. I just couldn't understand why any of this, which had in the past helped to solve my downs and those self-doubt filled moments, none of it was working. The glitches, I guess, were no longer just little blips. This was now a state of flatline. I was a functioning zombie, sleepwalking to my death and wishing this life away, because I had finally hit a point where I could not live this way any longer. But at this point, I did not know or realize that life could be any other way. On a physical level, I was having at least 3 panic attacks a day, which would leave me in a state of extreme fatigue and disconnection. My digestive issues were intensely disruptive. My food reactions were becoming a cloak that shrouded over the bubbling dense mass. I had put on weight. My food behaviours were erratic, and my body's inflammation markers were nearing concerning levels. Then there were the days where the voices would take over and my body would be in a state of paralysis. Soon these became frequent, or often these moments in a day would become too frequent. It became the norm. As I moved on, or moved in some direction at least, into the world of beta blockers and then onto antidepressants. Getting signed off from work became the next inevitable step. My mind and body was so disconnected from me, but the power was so intense, controlling and crippling life. On a so-called living life level, I couldn't complete projects, tasks or basic things in my home. I yearned for some normality or some level of this, and yet somehow realised that this feeling of utter self-worthlessness had been around for so long that I couldn't actually work out a time when I didn't feel this way. I had become skilled at functioning on autopilot. I was my evil mind's puppet. I felt no value for me. But this wasn't a new feeling. I knew it too well. And I had lived with this feeling filling me up for years. In fact, after some digging around, I realised that my insides were totally lead heavy with this weight. There was no space. It was just too full with too much. I had an outward sense of awareness, which most of us do, and this is, I've been reliably informed, a natural survival instinct for humans. But I guess what was happening to me was that I had lost connection with me. And so I began to ask, who am I? Where am I? Is this where I want to be? On the face of it, I had met many of the expected milestones. I had a degree, at least 4 professional qualifications. I was married with children and a home. Tick, tick, tick. There were always challenges that life brings, but the biggest challenge for me is I didn't know me anymore. And then I began to ask, did I really ever know me? So on that note, I have 2 questions for you. Are you listening to your soul? And have you ever really known you? So just to explain that this is like a snapshot. It's just an insight into, I guess, some part of my mental health story. It's where I've been. And in this episode, I haven't looked deeper into what got me to this place. Or I haven't even shared my journey from this lived experience to where I am now. And me, like many of you, have different journeys. And we've all had our moments of extreme clarity where things have made sense and we've moved on. So over the coming episodes, again, I will be sharing more of the different steps I've taken, the different people who I know of who have, I can't say similar experiences because all of our experiences are incredibly different and unique to us, but other people who have also found ways to, I guess, liberate themselves from the inside where it really matters. So, like all of us, like you, I too am a work in progress. So thank you for taking the time to listen to Eternal Paradigm today. And I look forward to catching up with you next time, where you can join me to explore the power of human experiences. Stay true to you. Take care. Bye.